we're super excited to hear from y'all. So thank you again for the input. So my name is Christian Gerke. I'm the president of Kennesaw PRSSA, and thank you so much. We really do value all of these opportunities that we have for guest speakers and learn from all of you. So we're very so how tonight's going to work is we have a list of questions to ask y'all, and at the end there'll be opportunities for the students to ask questions based on what they'll talk about. But we'll have an order of speaking. So if you want to go Karen, Ray, and Marcel, if that's okay with y'all. I'm just in that order, and then we'll do like that for the rest of the night. So feel free to jump in at any time. I'm near the end when we ask questions. Well, at this point, I'll give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves and just give your role, your background, and just a little bit about what you do. Karen, if you want to take this on. I think you're on mute. All right.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. For some reason, my microphone isn't working with my laptop, so I'm joining two ways. So I've got my computer up, and this is me live time. Hello. So sorry about that. So did you ask for a little about my background?
Yeah, so we would just love to hear about y'all's background, just like your role right now and what experience you have.
Sure. So I studied journalism and PR at the University of Georgia a million years ago, and I went directly into corporate PR. So my entire career for 15 years was all corporate PR, way before there was such a thing as blogging and social media. And then my last corporate gig was at the Home Depot, where I was one of the corporate spokespeople at Depot for about 5 years. I left there in 2007 to start my own business. And since then, I've worked for myself as an agency. And my specialty is I work with brands, like consumer brands, and I try to get them exposure through traditional media, so old-fashioned press release and pitching, and social media. So I work with a lot of influencers and bloggers, vloggers, and for example, today I put out a press release with a company called Greenworks that creates battery-operated power tools and mowers and blowers. And we just introduced a whole line of electronic scooters and e-bikes. So it's very exciting that the tool that powered your drill can now power a scooter. So what I did is I reached out to all these tool bloggers, and hopefully they'll, write about our products if we send them free stuff. And then they write about our brand. So that's basically what I do in a nutshell. My kind of social media is different, I think, from y'all's, and that I'm not the one actually posting. I work with influencers who post on behalf of the brands I represent.
Thank you very much. That's really exciting.
Because it's fun. It's something different every day.
Well, we can hear from Ray then.
Hi, my name is Ray Steinberg. I, in my current role, work as a social media strategist at a marketing agency. So I'm very much in the social media as PR world every single day. I work in both organic social and paid social media. So I'm often representing brands as the brand voice. I'm doing online reputation management. I'm everything from engaging with consumers and clients directly in the comments to drafting out social and really doing the main messaging. I've been in this role for about 5 years now, and I originally had a background in women's gender and sexuality studies from my undergraduate degree, but within the last 2 years, I went back to school and earned my MBA, which has been very, very helpful in, working at an agency. It's all business. So much of it is client relations in addition to the hard work of social media.
So quickly jump in.
Did you tell me to go?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. I am Marcel English. I am the Digital Communications Manager for Fulton County Government. I have been with Fulton County now almost 6 years in March. I started off at Fulton County in a temporary situation. Before that, I worked in sports marketing and PR and communications for about 15 years. Various roles, everything from marketing to PR to social media. The last 10 in sports, I owned my own company called Jersey Girl Sports. Jersey Girl was one of the first multimedia brands for female sports fans, not the sports athlete, but female fandom. So did that for about 10 years. I started off after I left Georgia State in radio. I produced at the time it was called the Frank and Wanda Show. And then, first it was called the Frank Ski Show, and then it was called the Frank and Wanda Show, and then it became something else. But I was in radio for about 8 years. I started off wanting to be in print journalism when I was in school. And I wanted to write, and that was the only thing I wanted to do. And then I took a PR class, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I can have like my writing, but then I can also do some other fun stuff. And, understanding the marriage between the writing and the marketing that I think PR gives you was very enticing to me. Sports was always my number one obsession. So I wanted to figure out how I could do that. But being on a side where I worked for actually a media outlet and then going into PR gave me that bit of an edge, that uniqueness that a lot of people don't get, of understanding what a producer is looking for from a medium, to being the person that's actually pitching it. So I have actually done kind of the gamut when it comes to the PR world. And right now in my current role, I manage the county's website. I manage our social media, our chatbot, our email communications, and our apps. So for me, digital is one big holistic circle where everything feeds off of itself. So social media doesn't live just by itself. Social media is getting information from our website. Our website gets information from our apps. Our apps get information from our social media. So it all kind of comes back together and creates this really great holistic experience for the citizens of Fulton County. Fulton County is the largest county here in the state of Georgia. We are the county that sits the city of Atlanta. So it is always something going on in our county. There are about 4 people on my team, and then I support 4 other interns. Internship to me is very valuable. I believe and was taught that once you get to a certain point, it's your responsibility to send the elevator back down. So I have always loved and just appreciated what my interns bring to my team. But every day is a different day. And I think that's why I love PR so much and love what social does. And as you guys probably know, social changes every day, and that adds to that different experience that you get every single day.
That's really great information, especially hearing about the jump that you made, so many different jumps. That's really awesome. And I'm sure it's encouraging some of our members who are trying to do different things. So I guess the next question that I'm kind of leading into with this is, what has been your favorite social media project or campaign that you've worked on in your different roles? Or it can be anything just digital related or social media. Kind of skipping around the questions a bit, but just wanted to.
Sorry, did you want me to go first, or did you ask?
I'll continue to say what her thoughts are.
Okay, so my favorite social media campaign, I worked with a company called Delaney Hardware, and Delaney makes a high-end, I specialize in building products because of my background with Home Depot and Georgia Pacific. Like, I've always been in the home industry. So this particular brand is Delaney Hardware, and they make high-end entry door handles. Doesn't sound sexy and exciting, but you'd be surprised what you can make sound fun. You guys, truly. I used to work at Georgia Pacific. We made plywood fun, believe it or not. So my favorite campaign was called 12 Doors of December. And we partnered with 12 Instagrammers who were DIYers and created a lot of posts around family and decorating and updating their homes. And we sent these 12 Instagrammers new entry door hardware. And for 12 days in December, December 1st through 12th, a different Instagrammer would post the before and after photo of installing a new entry door hardware and how they decorated it for the holidays. And then each of the 12 influencers all posted for each other and about each other and tagged each other. So they all, it was like a community of these 12 influencers posting about their awesome home decor projects and supporting each other. And we had a contest where we gave away free door hardware. So to me, that was exciting because it was like a community of influencers all partnering together and supporting each other and getting there for the ultimate goal, of course, was to get my client, Delaney Hardware, we wanted to increase their social media following on Instagram. So one of the ways that the consumers could enter the contest was they had to tag and follow Delaney Hardware and comment on these 12 Instagrammers posts. So it was a great success. We ended up increasing our Instagram following and selling more door hardware. And the influencers had, you know, beautiful new entryways for the holidays. So it was a win-win for
Really innovative, really great. Thanks for sharing. Right, whenever you're ready, you want to share it with them. You're all right now.
Sorry, did you have another question for me or did you turn it over to the next person?
Ray is having trouble with her.
Got it. Thank you. It's intimidating seeing my picture up on the screen like that. Get it off. Just kidding.
Also, if you want to pass it over to Marcel while we figure out the audio situation, we can do that.
Okay. So I think probably one of my favorite one was when we launched Jersey Girl Sports. We did a campaign called I Am a Jersey Girl. And we wanted to really showcase the different women, different types of women, all ages, all nationalities, all cultures that love being sports fans. And it's not just being a football fan or a basketball fan, which are two of the most popular sports, but also being a NASCAR fan, being a hockey fan, being a tennis fan, being a golf fan. And so what we did was we asked women to send us a video telling us why they are a Jersey girl. And then each one of them would close out the little vignette by saying, I am a Jersey girl. And so you had women, Caucasian women, African-American, Indian women, older women, younger women. We had kids all coming in, and we created this amazing social media campaign that ran on Facebook and Instagram. And it just really showcased the videos of these women saying why they are a Jersey girl. And this was the perfect way that we felt that would set up this company. While we, as the owners, could really talk about what Jersey Girl Sports is, here are women all across the country telling that story for us. And I think with social, it's very important to be able to tell that story and find different ways and new outlets through social to tell your story. And then sometimes it's just better to get somebody else to tell it to tell others the story for you. I could sit and talk about Fulton County all day long, but it's very impactful when I have constituents who are parents who used our library or who needed to use our services to get WIC or who used our health services. That's a lot more impactful than me being a talking head, explaining to you how our services are amazing for our constituents across the county. So I think going back to the Jersey Girls Sports platform and that particular campaign, having the other women across the country to tell our story was the best way for us to get out who we were, and actually got a lot of news coverage out of it, was able to increase followers. And at the time, again, we were a brand new company that was coming about in 2009. And then there was nothing really out there for women as fans. It was always women as athletes. But what do female fandom, what does that mean? It's not just the pinking and shrinking of, the pink shirts that they usually make for women, for football, but, here is engaging conversation of women who actually participate and are fans of the game.
Thank you for sharing. Ray, can you do this now? So having. One second. Awesome. Well, the question was, what has been your favorite social media project that you've worked on, or campaign? So, where is yours?
I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I can't quite hear you. Could you repeat the question?
Oh, yes. So the question was, what's your favorite social media campaign or project that you've worked
Absolutely. So one of my favorite campaigns that I've worked on was with the census. As you all might remember, that happened a few years ago. And one of the chronic issues with any kind of self-reporting is that people don't self-report. And sometimes the people you want to hear from the most are the ones who are statistically least likely to engage. So with this campaign, it was for a small city within Metro Atlanta that was really interested in hearing and documenting underrepresented voices. And they specifically really wanted to hear from diverse communities, especially immigrants. But part of the difficulty was that many immigrants in this community were undocumented. And they felt like by completing the census, that would be opening themselves up to all sorts of legal trouble. However, when you complete the census, that actually isn't information that can be used against you if you're an undocumented immigrant. So this campaign was about using social media to reach folks who may not be plugged into a computer, who may be only operating on mobile, and really from a factual perspective, explain that the census is an important tool that will actually help you get more resources. And you have legal rights by completing the census that it cannot be used against you. So if you're in a position like being an undocumented immigrant, you are actually A-okay to complete the census. And in fact, you really should. So that was one of my favorite campaigns because it really tapped into this paradox of PR, and it really changed folks' thinking on the census in this community.
Great. Thank y'all for sharing about that. It's obviously very inspiring to hear all the all share, but I also think it just opens our eyes. Like there's more than just a regular plain old social. Like there's more things that go into it and all that. So I think that was very helpful. So kind of going along those lines, whatever maybe you're creating a social media campaign or just content in general, what are those strategic steps that y'all take in order to create a great campaign or a great post? Whether that be design wise or whether that be strategy wise. We want to go with Karen, Ray, and Marcel again, and then you can share.
Sure. Okay. So again, my strategy may be different because I'm not the one creating the actual social posts. But when I'm campaign for a client, the first thing I look at, of course, is other, the goals. We would need to look at the target audience. So you need to see who your audience is to figure out the best way to reach them. So who can reach them? Who can tell the story to them? And what platform does your audience frequent the most? So what we've learned is that for usually my clients are in the DIY or do-it-yourself home space. So we know that Instagram Reels are very important and create the most engagement for DIYers. So Instagram and YouTube are very important. So before I start any campaign, I talk to the client about who they're trying to reach, what social media platforms are they most likely to be on, and where are they engaging? And that's where we start. So I try to find influencers for each campaign that really cover every social platform, and so that we have a good representation across the board. Some may be like, we find older baby boomers are more likely on, right? So I always want to get someone in there that's of that generation who can post on Facebook and have a large following. And then I always make sure someone on the younger side who will post on TikTok to get those influencers, those consumers as well. So for me, it's all about finding influencers with those niche markets that will cover the wide spectrum of target audiences that we need to reach. And that's also the biggest challenge, right? Is trying to find those influencers who create great content and great engagement that we need. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
For me, the most important thing is the content. Many of my clients are in the healthcare space, and I'm representing as a brand voice, often everything from oncology clinics to gynecology clinics to your eye doctor. And for those areas, most people don't really want to hear about those. Healthcare can be frightening and scary. And as you're on social media, sometimes it can feel really obtrusive to have that facet of your life come charging in when you're just trying to catch up with folks. So for that niche, I've found that the most successful posts feel a little personal and don't feel obtrusive. I think the news you can use category seems to go really well with healthcare. If you can remind people, even if it's not for them as the consumer, if you can reach someone who might be 30 years old, but maybe has a parent who's approaching 60 or 70 and is really due for some of these chronic care procedures, for example, colonoscopies. No one wants to hear about that. But if you could reach someone who maybe has a parent who's really due, or maybe they have a parent who needs a PSA test done for prostate cancer, that kind of thing is so important. So being able to reach people in a way that's heartfelt, that's genuine, that is a little bit educational, and perhaps teaches someone who's 30 years old that their dad actually is the one who needs to be getting regular PSA testing. And in fact, here's how you can set your dad up to do that. That's the perfect social post for healthcare, is just really being a perfect mix of unobtrusive, helpful, friendly, and hopefully not too scary.
I think for me, some of the biggest things, especially when I'm posting on Instagram, is the pictures, the visuals. Karen and Ray talked a lot about the content. So for me, it's the content is also just, for me, is just as important. But with Instagram, just taking that one is the pictures. And if I could have a video of somebody talking, or just maybe some really cool B-roll. If we're showcasing a place at Fulton County, if we're showcasing one of our senior centers, or we're just showing some cool things that we do with our filming in Fulton department, where a lot of movies are filmed. I think that for me is the biggest thing, making sure that I have a great visual, making sure that my video is high quality, making sure it's not pixelated. You can hear what the person is saying if somebody is speaking, if it's an actual static image, making sure that that static image actually tells the story and it's not, you know, me showing seniors swimming, but I'm talking about one of our youth programs. You know, making sure that the picture also tells the story as well as the content. Most of the times people are just scrolling when they go through Instagram, and what makes them stop sometimes is that image or that quick video. So I think for me, the images are just as important. One of the other things that I wrote down when I got the questions, with my strategy sometimes, and this is a little bit crazy and might add a little extra work, is I actually write my content down. I walk away and then I come back. Would I have sent that to my best friend that way? Or would I have sent it to my mother that way? I think sometimes to get the initial written down of everything that you're trying to say, but then come back and look at it and say, would I have sent it that way in a text message? And then usually that's how I go sometimes with my social posts.
For sharing. A lot of
If
different.
that is a great piece of advice, Marcel, because whenever I write a press release or a bylined article or something for a client, I always try to write it, walk away, and then review it the next day. Sometimes I print it out so that I can see it on the computer screen, just so I can digest it and see it from a different angle. Because you want to make sure that what you're writing is not offensive and it's complete. It includes your who, what, where, when, why, how, right?
Right. Yeah. A lot of things that we write at Fulton County have to do with our services. And so I just want to always make sure, my mom is 73, and she's a spirited, spunky lady, and always is, since she's retired, she's very, very knowledgeable about so many different things now. But, you know, I always want to make sure that I'm communicating and it's appropriate for her to get the information and she understands it. You know, where it's a link and I just, you know, you need to come in and do X, Y, and Z, and I can get all of that in the post. So, and then sometimes I just want to make it fun. Like, am I going to text my best friend Reagan and say, hey, we have this great event, back to school event with kids, yada, 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 backpacks and yada. But what I tell Reagan, you know, come to the sheriff's backpack, whatever. Like, do your kids need a new backpack and pencils to start off the school year? You know, I mean, you have to just think about it that way.
Yep. Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
You are under the audience and look
Yeah.
through their lens. Yeah.
Yep. And I think social really helps you to do that, to be able to put yourself in the consumer's shoes, because 9 times out of 10 with social, you are the consumer. I think writing press releases, sometimes it's a little different because your internal audience are media outlets and influencers or things like that. But social really helps you to drive the point home. If you're doing something for Nike or Under Armour or Coke, and if you are a consumer of any of those brands, what appeals to you? And I think that helps you to write better content. What do you want to see? Do you want to see the shoe? Do you want to see how the shoe works? Do you want to see the shoe on your favorite athlete? You know, figure out ways to do that. And, you know, AI is also really helping to bring those experiences home on social. But, you know, social is one of those places where you are also the consumer.
Sharing. It's great information, especially because y'all all have such different perspectives, but there is like come back to it, go to your audience. Just like that's great. So thank you, Rachel. So kind of like switching gears for a second. So we've talked about the strategy of social, but when we're talking about social platform, what do y'all think is like the most efficient or effective social platform right now? It can be in your role, or it could also be on this like bigger picture. You can also just, if you have any information about like different trends or where you think social is going in the future. So I know that's a loaded question, especially now. But just feel free to share your thoughts. You're gonna be, you know.
Okay, I guess I'll go first again. So for me, I think it depends on, again, the audience that I want to reach and the goals of the client. I will say there are a lot of reporters out there and producers who like to tweet still about what they're working on. Like they'll put out tweets saying, "Hey, send me your pitches on this product or this angle," which I think is really interesting. I don't usually visit Twitter or X a lot because I don't usually work with the general news media. I work more with long leads like consumer trades and or consumer pubs and trade magazines. But I think it's interesting that a lot of producers and reporters still use Twitter to find their sources. But again, for me, it really just depends on the client, and usually it's going to be TikTok to reach the younger audience, and Facebook to reach the older audience, a lot of Instagram, and a lot of YouTube. So as Marcel was saying, I mean, videos are where it's at. So if you can put video on any platform, you're going to get more engagement. So that's my 2 cents. I'm interested to hear what the others say.
I'm partial to Facebook and Instagram because I run so much paid social, and using the Meta ecosystem, I mean, you are just tapped into everywhere you could want to be and more. If you're able to line things up and have accounts via Instagram and Facebook and operate it all via the Meta ad system, you can really reach people in a shopping mindset when they're looking for something. Products, especially, you can appear right next to something for Facebook Marketplace. That has been incredibly fruitful in the retail sector, but you're also just reaching people, especially in these more community-oriented campaigns. You're reaching folks when they're looking to connect. And if you're able to appear in front of someone through the Meta ecosystem on Facebook, on Instagram, when they're in this connection mindset, and then in those multiple places, you have multiple touch points now, and you're so much more likely to get that conversion, even if it's something very community oriented that can feel pretty nebulous. You just have such a high frequency via Meta that you can really have quite a bit of success there.
For me, I love Insta and I love Facebook. We use a lot of that at the county. That is where we really speak to our target audience. With both of those, we use Twitter every now and again. It's not really as important for us, but one of the things that we use at the county a lot and have become very successful with it, and then I'm also obsessed with it, is LinkedIn. And I think that's a really untapped platform. LinkedIn started off as one of those platforms that were just for the business professional or people who were looking for jobs. And now you can connect with anybody. If you are looking for a mentor, an opportunity, you're trying to get business news, or you just want to find out information on your favorite product. And even people are starting to post things that are not as serious on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn probably more than I am on any other platform. We post a lot about what Fulton County is doing from an economic standpoint. And a lot of our constituents follow us on LinkedIn because they want to know the county that they live in is sustainable, and they want to know that the direction that it's going in. I think, as I said before, the videos and the pictures are great for Insta. I love to scroll through Insta. I scroll through it every day, but sometimes I really love LinkedIn. I mean, I actually am on LinkedIn now. I think a couple of the students looked me up on LinkedIn, and I'll always connect with people. If you send me a message And that is probably the one place outside of, I don't respond to every email, but if you send me a message on LinkedIn, because I know you were actually looking for me. And I think in email, it's, you can always get somebody's email address and reach out. But I think the LinkedIn for me is a little bit more personal.
Very good input. And Marcella, definitely, so I appreciate you saying the whole aspect of us reaching out to via LinkedIn. At the end, if it's okay with all of you, share y'all LinkedIn. Just see it. I'll just connect with you.
Yeah, that'd definitely be fine. I'm always about connecting with students, answering questions. I think I posted on LinkedIn, this is an opportunity when you guys get a chance to ask questions. We are 3 professionals who've been doing this quite a while. We've seen the gamut. Ask the question. Sometimes you don't feel as comfortable asking your professor because you feel as though it might affect your grade because of your ignorance, or you just don't know. But here is an opportunity to ask that question you just didn't know. Or like, I think I like government PR, but it just seems boring. But I don't want to tell my professor who does our government PR class. So, I mean, like, those are the questions that, when you have panels like this, ask those questions and step outside of your comfort zone and do that.
So I'll ask one more question of the ones that we have on the list, and then I'll just open the floor to anyone who wants to ask a question. I guess we always have asked the same question on our panel, just because obviously we're all PR students, and we all want to succeed and do the very best that we can in the field. But from your point of view, what's the best piece of advice that you can give?
Hey, this is Karen. I'll go first. So I think the best advice I can give you is, I would say 3 things. I would say network, because it's all about who you know. If you go, and I'm not saying you have to know a bunch of people, but get an informational interview with someone just because you want to hear about the industry and what they do on a day-to-day basis, and then walk away from that informational interview with another name and do another informational interview. It's all about networking, because someone knows someone who can help you get that first job and get your foot in the door. And a great way to do that is through PRSA. And I've been a PRSA member since I was in college, like you guys. So I really believe in the networking of PRSA. And I didn't get my first job through PRSA, but I definitely got my second and third jobs through people I knew through PRSA. So I really believe in it. So I think networking is number 1. Number 2, work hard and don't complain, just do your job. And that's important, because I know it's easy to complain. We can all complain. There's always going to be things that you don't enjoy. That's just part of it. That's why they call it work and not fun, right? And then number 3, accept criticism. So if your manager comes to you and they just mark up a press release. I remember I had this one internship, you guys, with this tech company. And every time I submitted a press release for review, she marked it up with a red pen. And that hurt my feelings so bad. I almost dropped out of PR. So, but you just have to just accept the fact that some people have different writing styles than you. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just different. But you have to accept criticism and critiques and move forward, figure out how to move forward from there. But just be open to accept criticism and management that you may not agree with, but that's all part of the game, right? Business is a game, and you got to learn how to play it and enjoy it along the way, I guess. So that's my advice. I'm looking forward to the questions. So ask any questions when we're all done with this, please. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say.
My advice would be learn how to make a good apology. Everyone messes up, absolutely everyone. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing something, you're always going to encounter something where you just messed up a little bit or you learn something new. And I think the mark of someone who can really bounce back from a little setback is being able to make a good apology, build a bridge, kind of just get over it as quickly as you can, and also own that you messed up a little bit. I think it's such a delicate balance, and it's something that I wish I had known how to do quicker. No one ever told me that. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you'll mess up, just get back on the horse." But there's a lot of value in just for a moment saying, "I'm sorry, I messed it up. Won't happen again," and then moving on. It's a really delicate balance, and that's something I wish I had known when I was about to enter the business world.
For me, my piece of advice is write as much as you can, as often as you can, and learn how to write many styles, everything from creative to business to conversational to friendly to fun to crisis. It's so funny that Ray even said, learn how to apologize. I was having a conversation with a colleague today. We had an instance with a commissioner who had some issues with a subordinate. And, I was saying that, really nip the situation in the bud, apologize. Say, I apologize to my colleagues, my board of commissioner staff, the constituents of Fulton County. I messed up, and this is where we just need to be. So it's really quick. And that was one of the first things that I learned working for athletes. Athletes mess up a lot. And in their mind, they don't mess up, they mess up in the eyes of the team. So one of the first things that I learned how to write was an athlete who played for the Tennessee Titans did something. And in the state of Tennessee, it's illegal, but it's not illegal in the state of Florida. And I remember that was the first thing that I had to write for this particular athlete. But, I know how to write in a crisis, but I also know how to turn it off and, promote something that's really fun. And then I know how to come back and do business conversations. But I always say, learn how to write. If you know how to write well, you will always have a job. No matter, if it's in social, if it's in traditional PR, if it's in digital comm, if it's in marketing, as long as you know how to write, you write well, and you understand what your power of communication is, you will always have an opportunity for work.
I definitely think that for a lot of us in the room, for me personally, the whole writing aspect, that artists to get really good at, and it's very kind of discouraging at first when you start getting all these markups like I was saying, but I think that's really helps. So we will open the floor to questions. If y'all want to, whoever wants to go first, you can come up. Just ask a question. Go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
So how did you get interested in that?
I didn't hear the end of it. You said, how did you get interested in something?
In sports marketing?
Oh, how did I get interested in sports marketing? So when I was working in radio, I met an athlete who was at the University of Georgia at the time, and his name was Quincy Carter. And Quincy was going into the draft, and Quincy said, "Can you throw me a draft party?" And I was like, I guess I don't really know how to do that, but sure. And at the time, I knew nothing really about sports, and I was in radio, so I had graduated by that time. And I threw him this draft party. Quincy ended up being drafted in the first round to the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't know that, but ended up being a great story. I worked for Quincy for a majority of his years in sports, and then some time after he left the league. But it just became something that was just fun. I always believed in understanding. My new little baby kitten wants to say hello, so sorry about that. But I just always liked sports, whether it was football or basketball. I had an opportunity. One of the former Atlanta Falcons started a NASCAR team. I was his publicist when he worked for the Falcons, and when he started this team, I started working for him. So I became obsessed with NASCAR. and had an opportunity when Magic Johnson was over the Drive for Diversity program, and being able to work under somebody like Irving to understand business and what business means for minorities, but understanding the fun part of it, but then also understanding that sports is a business. And there's a lot of money that's riding in sports. But I just started reaching out to people. I started my own company. Origins Public Relations was the company that I founded when I was working for Quincy. He introduced me to other athletes. I reached out to other athletes. When I was younger, I took a lot of risk. Like, I would drive to a city that I knew an athlete was speaking at just to meet them. Things are different now. I'm 43, so 20 years ago, life was, a lot different of meeting people and meeting athletes in that industry. But going to events, I still find myself signing up for conferences or signing up for things like WISE, which is Women in Sports and Entertainment, just so I can meet people. I have my female fan moments for women who are in the business, who are general managers and things like that. So I just think it's, understanding, what you want to do, and then just reaching out to people. Like Karen said, reach out for that informational interview, that conversation. It's easier to call somebody when you know who they are and you don't want anything really at the beginning, but then call them again. Hey, we met, and I've been really thinking about this, and I would love to see if there's an internship opportunity. I enjoyed our conversation. You'll be more likely to get a little bit more out of that conversation than just cold calling somebody.
Hi guys, my name is Carlos McKinney, and I'm a sophomore PR major here at Kennesaw. And my question is for myself as well. What do you look for in interns, and has the chapter for Jersey Girls Sports, has that chapter closed or considered?
Hey, Marcel, you're
I'm
on
on
the,
mute. 3 years, I still don't know how the heck to use this. I didn't hear the last part about intern, and then I heard Jersey Girl Sports.
Yeah, I'm saying, what do you look for in your interns? Because you have a very small team, and are you considering a rebrand for Jersey Girls Sports, or has that chapter closed?
So that chapter, we actually sold Jersey Girl Sports in 2018 to CBS. And so we thought about doing some new things, myself and my business partner, who is actually one of my best friends. And we've been trying to throw around some ideas of some things to do, which we will probably launch in the beginning of 2024. But one of the things that I just learned that I love about my interns, and it's interns that I had at Jersey Girl Sports, interns that I have at the county, is just really people who want to learn. There is nothing worse than an intern who doesn't want to be there, and who feels as though you're entitled, or that I owe you something to be a part of my internship or be a part of my company. That is never the case. When you are an intern, I want you to be there. Ask as many questions as you want to ask. If you don't understand something, ask it. I mean, I even tell my employees that if you want to know something, ask it. Because if you don't ask, I'm going to assume that you know it. And then when I want you to know it, and then you don't tell me that, like, oh, I don't know what that is, but we've talked about it and we've had many conversations about it. That's the worst to me. Somebody who wants to learn, and honestly, when you become an intern, I'm not expecting you to know everything about my industry. I just want to know that you want to be there and you genuinely want to be there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have a question? This is
I guess I have my own production company, but that's the other one. Hey guys,
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Can you maybe get closer to the microphone so we can all hear? Sorry.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Is it clear now? Okay, cool.
Yes.
so I have my own production company, but I'm in the process of transitioning into a brand development company. So I'm going to use PR as my way to help people like build their brand, build their company, etc. And as far as like operating you guys' own business, how did you guys find the proper partners for it? And when you guys were beginning, where you guys took the one man for it, I guess find that people already need help with doing it on.
I don't know if I speak for y'all too, but I heard you say that you're interested in working for a brand development company, but I didn't hear what the actual question was. Y'all may have heard better than I am. I
I
don't.
was saying, how did you guys find the proper partners for your company? Because I have my own production company, but I'm transitioning it into a brand development company. So I'm going to operate my own business, just like you guys.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. That's huge at working for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I started my business about 15 years ago when I left Home Depot, and I worked with a lawyer to establish my company, but I know you can do it online pretty easily now if you want. So I created an LLC, so you want to get your company in order like that, and you know, I just do your research and register with the Secretary of State. You need to register a company with him. I've got a whole list of recommendations to start your own company. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to share with you if you want.
Asking as far as your partners, like, were you a one-man like team or one woman team, or did you find like, let's say, a web developer?
That's a For me, I decided to work for myself. You know, when I was at Depot, I managed a team of 5 or 6 people, and I wanted the opportunity to work for myself, to make my own decisions and not have to run things by a team or a VP or whatnot. So I work for myself, but there are opportunities, to create an LLC partnership where you partner with another person or several people to do that. Yeah.
Now I wanted to hear this myself.
How did I find my partners? I went to brands that I liked and brands that I wanted to work with. When I worked in sports, it was a little different. So I was always my target is women. So things that I like, things that my friends like, things that are new products that are out there, I was always looking for what the new thing was. And I would reach out to VPs of marketing, VPs of communications, if it's a smaller company or COO or something like that. I did a lot of cold calling. I got a lot of no's. So don't think that when you start reaching out or you get the right person, but the answer is no a lot. So, but then you just kind of build on relationships that way. But then going back to the things that Karen was talking about, that networking will help you to build those relationships. And when you find something that works for a brand that you're working with, you can reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. We met at such and such. It was such a great conversation. Try to always remember something from the conversation, and then softly tell them what you're working on, and you would like to talk to them a little bit more about it. I mean, be prepared for a no. It's a tough skin when you start doing your own thing and working for yourself. I learned more about myself when I started working for myself than I probably have in any corporate job that I had. But mine is not really a strategy. It's just of how I thought it should go, because I had no idea.
Thank you. Well, thank y'all so much for all your input and all your advice and everything. I'm sure some people have more questions, so do they have your permission to reach out to you on LinkedIn? Sure.